Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, and may the peace and blessings and salutations be upon His Prophet and His Messenger, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In keeping with the hadith of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who said, "Man lam yashkur nas lam yashkur Allah." Whoever does not give thanks to the people, he has effectively not given thanks to Allah. So first and foremost, I want to thank the brother Hakeem for inviting me here to participate in this program. It's my first time having this type of opportunity being presented to me. I had a program in Coventry, and the brothers from Coventry, after we did our program, they rushed me back over here because I was keen on trying to be here. When I came in and I witnessed the end of the session with the two brothers and the sister who were here and they were answering some questions, I was humbled by the experience. I was blown away, to be honest with you. Blown away by the condition, the challenges that people who have special needs like yourselves, things that you have to deal with. I was also blown away at the proficiency of the lady who was translating, who I found out her name was Elvia. So I want to thank Elvia and Jessica as well for their presence and being the Hamzatul Wasl, or the bridge between us and you brothers and sisters. I have a lot to say today, inshallah, and I'll do my best to just keep it basic and simple in terms of some of the Arabic terminology that I tend to forget because I take it for granted that people just can understand from the context, but that's not always the case. And that's one of the reasons why I feel humbled today, because it's not correct to take it for granted, just to assume, because there are situations that are going on, like with you people, you brothers and sisters, people who are deaf. We take it for granted that I think it's just a lost segment in our community, to be honest with you. When I heard some of the questions and the answers to those questions, I ask Allah Azza wa Jal to help you to conquer those challenges that are in front of you. First thing that I want to mention today in my presentation is this issue of the terminology. It's really important as Muslims that we don't buy into the game that people play, especially the media, in terms of terminology. Because if you buy into the game of terminology, you can develop opinions and concepts that are a problem from the very beginning. So this term of handicap, I think non-Muslims are now saying that using the word handicap is politically incorrect, whereas in the religion of Islam, it was considered to be politically incorrect a long time ago, over 1,000 years ago. The handicapped in Islam is not the one who has some physical challenge or inability to do something. Someone who can't speak, someone who can't hear, someone who can't walk. He's not handicapped in Islam. The handicapped person is the one who has been given favors by Allah, hands, feet, eyes. He's been given ears. He's been given the ability to think, to contemplate, to analyze, and he doesn't use those faculties in the right way. That's the real handicapped person in the religion. In Islam, again, over 1,000 years, Muslims were calling people who had so-called handicaps people with special needs. They have special needs that need to be addressed. And the religion of Islam came and it addressed those special needs. There are a number of verses in the Quran. Very quickly, I'd just like to share just a few of them with you. Like the statement where Allah the Most High said, إِنَّهَا لَا تَعْمَلْ أَبْصَارُ وَلَكِنْ تَعْمَلْ الْقُلُوبَ الَّتِي فِي الصُّدُورِ. It is not the eyes of the people that are blind, but in fact, it's the hearts of the people that are blind, the hearts where the person doesn't have the ability to use his intellect to navigate through the life that Allah Azza wa Jal, Allah the Most High, has given him. Another ayah said, لَهُمْ قُلُوبٌ لَا يَفْقَهُونَ بِهَا وَلَهُمْ أَبْصَارٌ لَا يُبْصِرُونَ بِهَا وَلَهُمْ أَعْيُنٌ لَا يُبْصِرُونَ بِهَا وَلَهُمْ آذَانٌ لَا يَسْمَعُونَ بِهَا أُولَٰئِكَ كَالْأَنْعَامِ بَلْ هُمْ أَضَلُّ. Some of the people, they have hearts that they do not contemplate with. They don't understand with them. They have eyes that they are unable to see with. And they have ears that they are unable to hear with, although they have ears, but they can't hear them. Allah said, those are the people who are astray. Instead, they are like the animals and more astray than the animals, who have been given these faculties, the animals, but it's not expected of them to do anything with it. But the human being is expected to use his faculty in order to further enhance his own life and the life of the people who are around them. So my message, the first message that I want to say to you, brothers and sisters, is that all of us have special needs. You people have special needs. The deaf, they have special needs that need to be addressed. But don't allow yourself to buy into that excuse that you are handicapped. I know personally some scholars in Islam. One scholar, he died a few years ago. His name is Abdul Aziz Ibn Baz. We'll just call him Ibn Baz. Sheikh Ibn Baz, he was blind, but he had what's known in Islam as basira, which comes from the word to see, basira. He was blind, couldn't see an inch in front of him. But with his eyes closed, when questions came to him and when situations came to him, because of his in-depth knowledge of the Quran and the Sunnah and the religion, he had an uncanny ability to explain things that people who had been given sight and the ability to hear, they couldn't even wish to reach that level and depth of knowledge that he had. So that's the first point that I want to make. Second point is that there's no doubt that being able to hear and being able to see and being able to speak, it is a ni'mah. It is a ni'mah, a favor from Allah, a virtue from Allah. So if Allah takes someone's ni'mah away, if he takes that virtue away, if the person has patience with what has been taken away, his reward, Yawmul Qiyamah, on the last day, is going to be tremendous, provided he is patient and he doesn't curse the decision of Allah. One of the names of Allah is Al-Hakim, Al-Hakim, like our brother. His name is Al-Hakim, Abdul Hakim, Al-Hakim. Many people translate Al-Hakim as being the wise. Hikmah is wisdom. That does mean that. It does mean that. But there's a better definition in the Arabic language for hikmah. Hikmah is putting things in the proper place. Knowing what to say, when to say it, how to say it, who to say it to. Putting things in the proper place. Treating your parent as if they are really the parent and not treating them as if they are a child. Treating a Muslim as the Muslim is supposed to be treated, by giving him his rights of a salams, giving him the greeting of the salam, and so forth and so on. Treating the non-Muslim the way that the non-Muslim should be treated, not to get it mixed up. Treating the family member or the relative the way he's supposed to be treated. Treating the wife the way the wife is supposed to be treated, the husband, and so forth and so on. That's hikmah. Knowing when to be tough and strong and when to fall back and relax and to be gentle. Knowing when to be quiet and when to speak. All of that is hikmah. Allah, he is al-Hakim because he put everything in the right place. Everything that's halal, permissible in Islam, is permissible because Allah knew what he was doing. And everything that's haram, for an example, as a Muslim man, I can't wear gold. That's haram for me as a Muslim man. As a Muslim man, I can't come and say, why did Allah make it impermissible for me to wear gold? The reason why Allah made it impermissible for me to wear gold is because he is al-Hakim. He put everything in the proper place. So as a Muslim, we have to buy into whatever Allah legislated in this religion is because he knew what he was doing. The laws of inheritance, Allah knew what he was doing. Those rules and regulations that pertain to women, Allah knew what he was doing. So the Muslim woman can never come and say, why this and why. Can't do that. The Muslim man can't say, why this, why that. I'm not from Quraysh, the tribe of Quraysh, the tribe of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They have a special position in Islam. Doesn't mean all of them are good. Doesn't mean that all of them are in the paradise. Doesn't mean that, but they have a special place in Islam. Me, Abu Usamah, not being from Quraysh, I can't come and say, why did Allah make Quraysh like that and not make black people where I come from? I can't say that because I should know as a Muslim, Allah put everything in the right place. Mecca is Mecca, Mecca in Saudi Arabia. It is the bedrock of Islam, that place. The Kaaba is there, the Prophet's masjid is there because Allah knew what he was doing. Baytul Aqsa, the masjid in Jerusalem, is there because Allah knew what he was doing. So what's the point? The point is Allah Azza wa Jal, he made this individual blind. He knew what he was doing. He made that individual over there unable to have children. He knew what he was doing. He made that individual over there, he was challenged in terms of his intellect. He was retarded, held back in terms of his intellectual abilities. So the Muslim, when he finds himself with these types of challenges in front of him, the very last thing that he or she can do is say, why me? Instead, Muslim has to be patient. There's a hadith from the Prophet's statement, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, "Man faqada habibatayhi fasabara falahul jannah." Anyone who Allah takes away his eyes, and he called the eyes in this hadith habibatain, his two beloveds, because your eyes are loved by everyone. The quality of a person's life is going to be adversely affected if he didn't have his eyes. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Prophet mentioned in his statement, anyone who is patient with losing his two eyes, his two beloveds, then his reward is going to be the paradise. But again, he has to be patient, and he cannot be upset, nor can he scorn the predestination and the qadr that Allah has decreed in that situation. So being able to hear properly and being able to speak clearly is from the tremendous favors of Allah, from the big ones, not the small ones. Allah, he mentioned in another number of verses of the Quran, like the statement, Alam naj'al lahu aynayn, wa lisanan wa shafatayn, wa hadaynahu najdayn. Did Allah not give to mankind two eyes? And he gave him a tongue and two lips, and he showed him the two ways, the correct way and the wrong way. Gave him an opportunity to know what's right and what's wrong so that he can make a conscious decision which path he's going to choose. The fact that the verse mentioned the eyes and the tongue and the lips, an indication that is drawing the attention to the people that these are favors that Allah bestowed upon the people. And this happens many times in the Quran. وَلَا تَقْفُ مَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِهِ عِلْمٍ إِنَّ السَّمْعَ وَالْبَصْرَ وَالْفُؤَادَ كُلُّ أُولَٰئِكَ كَانَ عَنْهُ مَسْئُولًا. Muslim, do not talk about those things that you have no knowledge about concerning this religion. Don't put your foot in the arena where you don't have knowledge and you're not qualified. For verily, you're hearing, you're seeing, and your hearts, what you think, all of that is going to be looked into, and you're going to be held responsible and accountable for it. So the point here is these verses of the Quran that mention these parts of the body that Allah has given for people to be able to communicate and to understand, they mention the sole purpose of drawing the attention to the people, the importance of this favor, a ni'mah, a virtue that Allah has given to some and he hasn't given to others. Which brings us to another point about how to deal with our issues. There's a verse in the Quran that says, وَإِن تَعُدُّوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ لَا تُحْصُوهَا. If you were to try to count and enumerate the favors of Allah, the bounties of Allah that he has given you, never would you be able to do so. And that's a fact. Whatever Allah did not give me from the things that I wish I had, if I were to disregard all of those things that I don't have, and I was to focus upon what I do have, then I wouldn't be able to count all of those things that Allah has blessed me with. And I want to share something with you. that happened since I've been back from my latest trip. A person may be sitting in this audience and he has special needs, or she has special needs. But there's a young man from our community. His name is Ahmed Iqbal. He's in City Hospital right now. He has a disease called lupus, where his internal organs are shutting down. It's a disease in which the person's immune system attacks the body. And the bizarre thing about it in his case is when a person is young, his immune system is strong to fight off the attack of invading diseases. As you get older, your immune system breaks down. So the person who has this disease when he's older, his chances and likelihood of living and surviving are better. Because he's young, his immune system is strong. So it's basically killing him. So they had to put him in an induced coma yesterday. And they said he had like an 8% chance of living. We're just waiting for the next thing that's going to happen. What's the point here? I think Ahmed would be very happy to change places, being on that hospital bed or being here with a special need. So no matter what Allah didn't give you, or no matter what Allah did give you and what He put on you and decreed on you, there's always someone who is in a situation where we have a lot to be happy for. And that's why the Prophet Mustafa, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, peace and blessings be upon him, he said, do not look at the people who have been given more than you and become fixated and obsessed with what people who have been put above you in terms of wealth or whatever, children, whatever. Don't look at them. He said, look at the people who are below you, meaning they have more problems than you. They have more challenges than you. He said, the reason for that is it will make you more appreciative of what Allah gave you, what Allah gave you. So with that being the case, everybody who is here, my brothers and sisters, we all have a religious responsibility. It is wajib, it is fard, and it's an obligation, a fundamental obligation that we learn our religion. I have special needs. It doesn't exonerate me. It doesn't exclude me from learning my religion. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, "Talabul ilmi faridatun ala kulli Muslim." Getting knowledge, it is an obligation upon every Muslim. Every Muslim. So the one who is a revert, he doesn't speak Arabic, he wasn't born in an Arabic family, he can't come and say, I don't know Arabic, so therefore I don't have to learn. He can't say that. The person who's a woman, she's a female, the way her life may be, in many instances, she's not exposed to the masjid, she's not exposed to knowledge as such. No, that may have been the case with our mothers and our grandmothers. But today, with the internet and with all of the other ways we can learn our religion at our disposal, being a person with special needs does not excuse you from learning your religion. That doesn't mean that you have to do the khutbah of Jummah, the sermon for Friday. It doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean that you have to memorize all of the Quran and become a scholar, man or woman who's a scholar. It doesn't mean that. But we have to learn enough of our religion to push off of ourselves ignorance. I have to know how to pray. I have to know how to make wudu. I have to know what is the proper hijab. The non-Muslims of Quraysh during the time of the Prophet in Mecca, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they used to worship Allah. Allah said in one of the last surahs of the Quran, قُلْ يَا أَيُّهَا الْكَافِرُونَ لَا أَعْبُدُ مَا تَعْبُدُونَ. Tell them, Ya Muhammad, tell them, O you disbelievers, I don't worship what you worship. So it shows that they were worshiping something. Allah said in another ayah, verse of the Quran, وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يَعْبُدُ اللَّهَ عَلَى حَرْفٍ. From the people, Quraysh, people of Mecca, from the people are those who worship Allah and they don't know what they're doing. So these verses were mentioned to tell the Muslim, we have to worship Allah not based upon culture, not based upon ignorance. We have to worship Allah based upon knowledge. So with that being the case, special need or no special need, everyone has a special need. Everyone in this room has special needs. Everyone has some kind of handicap. Everyone. It doesn't exclude anyone from being an individual who has to learn his religion. And of course, he has to learn the religion based upon his ability. The verse of the Quran in Surah Al-Baqarah, the second chapter, لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. Allah doesn't burden a person beyond his ability. So you learn according to your ability. The brother who was sitting here in the last session, he was mentioning how the Muslim interpreter, the one who's doing the sign language, sometimes he's not proficient at what he's doing. So it's easy for the person in your position not to grasp the essence of what's being said in the masjid. Allah doesn't hold you accountable for that. He doesn't hold you responsible for that because that's beyond your ability. But what we will be held accountable for is I never took the opportunity out to try to learn my religion. I can read and I can understand. And I would think that many of you would become upset with society today if they try to equate being deaf with being dumb. Because a person can't speak doesn't mean he's dumb. Because a person can't hear doesn't mean he's dumb. Some of the most intelligent and brilliant people are those people who can't hear and can't speak. As a matter of fact, we're encouraged in our religion to talk less anyway. Prophet Muhammad, he said, peace and blessings be upon him, man samata naja. Whoever remains silent will be successful. The less you say in this life, the less you'll be responsible for in the hereafter, when you're judged. And many people are talking, and they're talking out of the side of the neck, and they don't know what they're talking about. Which brings me to my last point, and that is, in our book, the Quran, and in the authentic sunnah of Prophet Muhammad, his life, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there are many people in the Quran who have special needs. So if having a special need was inherently evil or something was wrong with that, then Allah would not have allowed some of his awliya, some of the special people who are connected to Allah. He wouldn't have allowed them to have special needs. From them are some illustrious personalities in the Quran, like Yaqub, Jacob. Jacob was the father of Yusuf. And there's a surah in the Quran, a chapter in the Quran called the chapter of Joseph, Yusuf. And when the brothers of Yusuf in the story took Yusuf away, when they took him away, and then they took his brother Benjamin away, and the news came to Yaqub, the father, Jacob, the Quran said he started crying until he became blind. So there was a portion of his life where he couldn't see. And that wasn't a figurative statement. He became blind. If being blind, which is a special need, was and is inherently evil, then one of the awliya of Allah, he was blind. One of the people of Allah, Allah's special people. Another example of that is Ayub or Job. Ayub. Allah tested Ayub and that he gave him, when he afflicted him with a disease, the disease of leprosy. Leprosy is so serious in our religion, so serious, that Prophet Muhammad told us, if you see a leper, go the other way. He said, run away from the leper, not to be insensitive. He was trying to tell the people, don't play around with this thing. So in the past, even today, they put lepers in quarantine. They used to put them in in communities just peculiar to them. Ayub had this disease, and it is a serious disease where in some cases the meat and the flesh becomes abscess and it falls off the body. He had that for not 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 13 years. All of the people abandoned him with the exception of his wife. If having a special need was something that is inherently evil, something to be frowned upon, people to be put on the fringes, put them outside of the pitch, out of the game, if this was the case, and this is how Muslims are looking at this, why would Allah allow Ayub, Job, who's from his awliya, to be afflicted with that? Thirdly, we have Musa. Musa is one of the 5 major messengers in Islam. He's one of the 5 major ones. There's a verse in the Quran that told us, فَاصْبِرْ كَمَا صَبَرَ أُولِي الْعَزْمِ مِنَ الرُّسُلِ. be patient the way the 5 major messengers were patient. Now, as I told you a few minutes ago, if someone told you the 5 major messengers, Muslims should know that. That's knowledge of our religion. Everybody knows the 5 prophets who I'm referring to, but if someone put that question to you, who is this ayat, this verse referring to? It's part of our religion to know things like this, not to just take it for granted. What's your name, Akhi? Abdullah. What's your name? My name is Ahmed. What's your name, sister? My name is Sophia. And that's it. I'm born a Muslim, that's it. When the person dies, the 2 angels, Munkar and Nakir, will come to the person and say, who was your Lord? What was your religion? What did you have to say about that man who came? The one who answers, my Lord is Allah, not Jesus, not the cow, not the monkey. My Lord is Allah, created me alone. What's your religion? My religion is Islam. What do you have to say about that man who came? He will respond, he's Abdullah and Rasulullah. He's going to go to Jannah. He's going to be saved, successful. But the other side, and this is the point, the one who was a hypocrite, a munafiq, he was just saying he was a Muslim. Who's your Lord? He says, I don't know. What's your religion? I don't know. What did you have to say about that man who came? The answer will be, I heard the people saying something, so I said the same thing. My mother and my father, they said this, so I said it. My mother and my father, they did it like that, so I did it like that. It's not that I knew, like the first man. My Lord is Allah. My religion is Islam. He is Abdullah, Rasulullah, the slave of Allah and the messenger of Allah. This second person, he says, I heard the people saying something, so I said the same thing. Those 2 angels will say to him, you didn't read, so you didn't learn. And that's the point. You didn't read and you didn't learn. And that's why you are incapable and unable to answer that basic question. So here, the verse said, be patient the way the 5 major messengers were patient. In chronological order, the first one is Noah. The second one is Abraham. The third one is Moses. The 4th one is Jesus, the son of Mary. And the 5th and final one is Prophet Muhammad. May the peace and blessings of Allah be upon all 5 of them. So Moses was one of the 5 major prophets. These 5 prophets, Noah, Abraham, Moses, Jesus, Muhammad, their story is in detail in the Quran more than any other prophet. The story of Noah is detailed. The story of Abraham, all of them are detailed. Moses is one of the 5 major prophets, and yet he had a special need. His special need was mentioned in the Quran, just like the previous 2. When Allah was sending him to Pharaoh, he asked Allah, Ishrah li sadri, open my breast, expand my breast. I have to go to this guy who's saying that he's Allah, he's arrogant. I need strength, I need courage. And part of his dua, his supplication was, Wahlul uqtatan fi lisani yafqahu qawli. Untie the knot that's in my tongue so that they'll understand what I'm about to say. So the scholars of Islam said that Moses had a serious, severe lisp, the way he spoke. So he asked Allah, send my brother Harun with me to support me, to help me out as well, because he said he is clearer in speech. The point of all of that is, if having a special need was inherently evil, and I have to have an inferiority complex as a result of it, then why would Allah allow for the best of the people to have these special needs? So anyone who has a special need, he should feel proud, she should feel proud, satisfied who you are in your own skin and what your situation is, because whatever Allah took away from you, it was compensated by giving you something else that other people take advantage of. When this thing just happened with the alarm, I wouldn't have ever thought, what about a person who can't hear? He doesn't even hear the thing going off. We take those issues for granted. But that individual is tuned in. So he's going to look how other people are behaving. Whereas I'm not tuned in to what's going on necessarily because my senses are dull. So whatever Allah took from you, He gave you something that is going to compensate it. So have sabr. Wallahi, wallahi, I swear by Allah, I swear by Allah. Yawm al-Qiyamah, in the day of judgment, anybody who had patience for some catastrophe or something that happened, he'll be rewarded comparable to what Allah took away from him. Concerning the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, he had also companions. And in our religion, guys, listen to me, because one of the most important things I'm going to tell you in this sitting right here is, as Muslims, the companions of Prophet Muhammad, they are the blueprint for us. They're the template for success. You want to be a real Muslim? Then love those companions. Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, Ali. Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, Ali. Love the wives of Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. No one after the companions, no human being after the Prophet's companions can equal them. There is a personality in our religion. His name is the Mahdi, the real Mahdi, the Mahdi. When the Mahdi comes back, when he comes, the Mahdi is going to put peace in the earth. Iraq, he's going to solve that problem. Pakistan, Afghanistan, Palestine, Somalia, all of the oppression that we find, he's going to solve that problem. This personality, the Mahdi, he is not better, he is not higher than any companion. Prophet Muhammad had a companion who was from the Bedouins, from the desert. He came to the masjid, he pulled his pants down. Excuse me, I don't want to be vulgar. I'm telling you the hadith and the incident, and I think most of you heard it. He came from the desert. He came into the masjid. The people were sitting there. He pulled his pants down and urinated in the Prophet's masjid in front of all of the people. The people got upset and they got ready to deal with him. Prophet Muhammad said, no, leave him. Let him finish. After he finished, the Prophet said, pour water on that place because the urine of a human being is najis. You have to clean it up. It can't be on your clothes. He said, clean it up. That companion is better than the Mahdi because he's a companion of Prophet Muhammad. Peace and blessings be upon him. The lady, she's from the tribe called Al-Ghamidi. She committed adultery and she paid the price for committing adultery. And as you know, the price in Islam is that she was given corporal punishment, capital punishment. Someone said about her, "Yakhs, how can you do this? You have dishonored your people." Prophet Muhammad said, don't say that. If you put that lady's faith in the scale and 70 people's faith in the other scale of Medina, then her faith is going to outweigh theirs because no one knew what she did, and she came and she exposed herself. That lady, because she's a companion, she's better than the Mahdi. So the point that I want to make is the companions are the blueprint for success. They're from the awliya of Allah. They're from Allah's friends after the prophets and the messengers. From them were some who were people who had special needs. A lot of them, a lot. Probably one of the most famous one is a companion by the name of Ibn Maktoum. Ibn Maktoum. He was the mu'adhin, the one who called the people to prayer in Islam. The verse of the Quran, at the end of the Quran, Abasa wa tawalla in ja'ahu al-a'ma, the Prophet frowned and turned away. It was revealed because of that man. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was talking to some of the chiefs of the disbelievers of Quraysh during his time, inviting them to Islam. And that blind man came. He was a Muslim, but he was blind. And he interrupted Prophet Muhammad while he was addressing those chiefs. And the Messenger of Allah looked at him and he frowned and turned away, as if to say, not now, not now. If these people become Muslims, they're going to help the likes of you. He didn't frown on, get out of here, get out. Not like that. Not like that. It's like your child, my beloved daughter, my heart, Arwa. She comes to me at a time and she interrupts me. I'm in the middle of something and she says, Abby, Abby, Abby. I say, hey, get lost. Would you get lost? That doesn't mean I don't love her. I love that girl to death. I love the ground she walks on. But I'm telling her, get lost. Now is not the time for that. That's how the Prophet did it. He frowned and turned away. That man, he was blind. Now listen, although he was blind, I just told you, he was the mu'adhin. He was the one who called the people for salat, which requires trustworthiness, because he has to know what time the salat comes in, the prayer comes in. The morning prayer, Fajr time, that's a critical responsibility. So it goes to show, Islam didn't say to a person with special needs, get out of the game, get off of the pitch, get off of the field, get on the perimeter. Islam didn't say that. Prophet Muhammad said, you are inside of the game. You have a role to play. You have something to do. Not only that, not only did he make the call of prayer, but sometimes when Prophet Muhammad traveled from Al-Medina, the city which he lived in, when he traveled from Medina, someone had to be responsible for the city in his absence. He used to let this man, Ibn Maktoum, be the leader of the Muslims in the absence of the Prophet. Now, who in his right mind would reject and deny after that example that people with special needs are an integral part of the Muslim society? They can be responsible for the community even. So he's just one glaring example. Then we have another companion. His name is Abdullah ibn Abi Ofa. I don't even know how you can translate someone's name. I've always been amazed at that. How, if I met a person who was deaf, how do I say I'm Abu Usamah? How do I say that? Something as simple, as easy as that. I asked Jessica, and I asked the other lady, Elvia. She said, you have to spell it out. How do you spell out Abu Usamah? I have to learn that before I leave. One thing that I learned since I've been here that I want to say to Elvia is, you want to become a Muslim? Please, please. She didn't even say inshallah. I was hoping she was going to say inshallah. I don't mean to put her on the spot or anything like that, but that's something that I learned here today. Brothers and sisters in Islam, in completing my message to you guys, as I said to you, when I came in here and I saw this lady translating what was being said, so many things were going in my mind. I felt my faith, my iman, my faith, my belief in Allah, it rose up. And you know, as Muslims, our faith goes up and down. If you worship Allah, you're obedient to Allah, your faith goes up. If we're disobedient, our faith goes down. If you're around religious people, they'll remind you why we've been created. Allah said in the Quran, وَلَقَدْ وَمَا خَلَقْنَا وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسِ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. I didn't create mankind and the jinn except to worship me. When you're around people who remind you of those things, then your faith, your iman goes up. You're around people who make you forget about those things, your faith goes down. It's these types of assemblies that causes a person's faith to go up. Something I'm going to go back home, I'm going to talk to my wife, I'm going to talk to my children. When I sat in that place, I said, wow, I take a lot for granted. I take a lot of things for granted. And there's no promise from Allah that I'm going to keep my faculties. So what I have to do is thank Allah for what He did give me by making salat, by trying to be the best Muslim that I possibly can. You guys, brothers and sisters, learn your religion to the best of your ability. And when I say learn your religion, the culture is okay. Eat with your fingers if you want to eat with your fingers. Eat chapatis, curry, rice, bananas, rice, all that's from your culture. Sit down, eat on the floor, do all of that. No problem. Your culture's okay. But when I say learn your religion, learn that Quran and learn the authentic sunnah, the authentic statements of Prophet Muhammad, and learn that those two sources from the companions, because they understood best what Allah meant when He revealed those Qur'ans, the Qur'an, and they understood best what the Prophet, peace be upon him, what he meant when he explained to them the Qur'an and he showed his practical life. I ask Allah and I make dua to Allah that He makes it easy for you in terms of what remains of this journey that you have to make as you are striving to meet your Lord on the last day. Don't give up hope. Don't feel sorry for yourself. You may come on the last day and you're in a better position than many people around you who may ridicule you or who may have been given a lot more than what you have been given. With that, I bring this session to a close. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika wa ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
It was just to pick up the issue earlier. Do you want to share your thoughts of how the hearing community can support the deaf community in terms of some of the issues that were raised earlier around getting the Quran into the British Sign Language?
As many of you know, our masjid at Green Lane, we try to be ahead of the curve in many issues that concern the community at large. So we brought in Brother Tariq, who recently, as understood, because he sent me an email, he went to perform Umrah in Mecca with a group of brothers and sisters who are deaf. We brought him in to translate, to do the sign language for all of the khutbahs, but it became an issue of money. He has a fee that he needs to be paid consistently, and it was a lot of work that went into it, a lot of work. So as a result of that, the situation wasn't the program, the project, it didn't have the longevity that we aspired for and that we hoped. I just think that basically the Muslims just need to wake up and to change from the old traditional cultural Islam where not even women, you're talking about in your question, helping the deaf community. In our masjid, women don't even have access to certain masjids. The masjid is built and there are no facilities for women who don't have special needs as such. So what about people with special needs? The issues of our youth many times are not being addressed. So I think what can be done and what should be done is that we need everybody who is a part of the community, who is in the know, has some sensitivity to what needs to be done. They need to bring the ideas to the table and make the administrations of the masjid responsible, because we chose these people to run the affairs of the Muslims and just to put pressure on the people. But as I mentioned, the deaf community, they're kind of like way down in the line because there are other people who are in front of them that are not even being catered to, who have easy access to the masjid, like I just mentioned to you. It's part of the culture of some people, not the religion. During Prophet Muhammad's time, there was a door in the back of the masjid, on the side of the masjid. It was called Bab an-Nisa, the door of the women. When he would pray, he said, I say Allahu Akbar, I start to pray, and I want to pray a long time, but I start to hear the noise, the crying of the child. So I shorten my prayer out of fear that it would be too tough for the mother. A proof that women are in the masjid. So in some cultures, the masjid is not a place for the woman at all. So we have a lot to do. So I think that people who have some sensitivities should bring their concerns to the table and make the administrations responsible for doing something. Allah knows best.
I would like to ask a question. The way I've been raised, within my family, they're all hearing, and I haven't been taught much about Islam. But I've then ended up doing my own thing and not always following Islam, so I'm wondering what I can do as a deaf person to improve my practices.
One of the most difficult people I find getting along with are the people who are intolerant and judgmental. There are certain Muslims who are not practicing their religion and they don't know their religion, not because they are evil people, but they never had an opportunity to learn Islam. They were never in an environment where the parents were teaching them the correct Islam. So a lot of times a person grew up and their concepts of Islam, hocus pocus, crystal ball, magic. I don't know if she got that. Hocus pocus. You know, the crystal ball. Reading people's palms. Taking the chicken bones and throwing them out and determining the future. Asking people who are dead in the grave. This is what they were brought up upon and they didn't know. Some people even believe taking a sword and hitting their backs and bringing blood outside of their bodies is Islam. They don't know. They don't know. So in your case, not having an opportunity to know Al-Islam, you went astray or you went off, you did something else, you did your own thing, Allah is most merciful, Allah is most forgiving, and Allah ultimately is the judge of everyone's situation. So we should never say, you're this, you're that. Allah knows the condition. But now, my man, my brother, you come back and you try your best to learn the pure, pristine, undiluted, unpolluted religion that we find in the Quran and the Sunnah with people who are similar to you, having access to the internet, having access to people who know what they're talking about in the religion. And inshallah ta'ala, Allah guides those people who want to be guided. So may Allah make it easy for you.
Okay, one more question. A lot of deaf people don't know about Islam, and parents force them to go to the mosque, but don't ever teach them about Islam. So they kind of do it out of pressure. So they practice their religion and they continue to do it, but without knowledge. So what can these deaf people do?
I think the responsibility is multifaceted. The parents have a responsibility. The person themselves, the deaf person himself has a responsibility. The community has a responsibility. Everyone working together, inshallah, we can fill the void that may have been created as a result of the parents falling short in how they cultivated the child. For an example, if the child is not deaf and he comes to the masjid, the parent didn't teach him anything about Islam and he's dropped off at the masjid, and the pir sahib, the malvi sahib, he's hitting him all the time. Every time he makes a mistake, he's hitting him. The sheikh, the teacher's hitting him every time he makes a mistake when he's learning the Quran. The child is going to grow up hating the imam, hating the masjid. Everything in his mind is this masjid is a violent place because the way he's being dealt with is the way cultural people deal with this situation. So it's a responsibility that everyone has. You, at the age where you are right now, you came, you're enlightened now. You saw the light. You have to read and you have to learn your religion. The masjid, the community, we have a responsibility not to allow this process to continue. We have to bring imams in who understand this is not the way you teach and educate people. Even if he's not deaf, you can't beat the child and hit the child and force him to practice Islam as such. So I think those things are slowly changing, but clearly the deaf dynamic still needs to be addressed.
Thank you. Thank you. So that he's explained how he's felt growing up and not having access to Islam through sign language. So we need, access is vital for the deaf community. So MD UK plans to teach, we're going to set up courses in the future so people like my brother here can join and learn more about Islam. I think that's essential. So the imam doesn't teach anything through teaching, through hitting the students. Instead, it's important to engage with the students, plus their parents as well if they're young children, so that they can learn about Islam and it'll be easier for them. So I think that's the answer. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, brother. Thank you.
On behalf of all of those imams, it's not my fault, but on behalf of all of those imams, we'd like to apologize to any drama that any of you have gone through, but it's a new day, inshallah, and we'll move into the future collectively to try to address these issues, because it's not fair, it's not okay. I personally believe that non-Muslims don't get a good concept of al-Islam looking at the Muslims. So maybe the non-Muslims who, when they die in the dunya, in this life, I see them as non-Muslims. That's the ruling. They're non-Muslims in this life. But I'm not going to say Allah won't forgive them. Allah, I'm not going to say that. What I'm going to say is Allah knows how He's going to deal with all of the servants. Because in Islam, the Prophet said this religion is going to fade away the way the embroidery of your thobe fades away. You buy this, when it's new, it has dark ink, it has its design. From wear and tear, from washing, it fades away. He said Islam is going to fade away like that, to the point people won't know what is salat, what is prayer, what is zakat, what is fasting, what is hajj. And in one night, the Quran is going to be raised up, and there won't be one verse of the Quran in the dunya. People won't even know any verse of the Quran. That's with the Muslims. Islam has faded away. So when the non-Muslims look at the Muslims, they're not getting a good example of what Islam is. So for Alvia and for Jessica, look at the Quran, look at the Sunnah, the Prophet's life. Don't look at the Muslims if you want to know about Al-Islam as the perfect example. The Quran and the Sunnah, not the people. So what is the case with what we're going to give to our deaf community? We don't even know what the religion is.
Salam.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Sorry. Well, I don't really know where to start, to be honest. I've been looking around for a long time trying to find information and understanding. And I'm trying to learn about jealousy and about sin and the effects of jealousy. So I wanted to ask you, how can you stop the feeling of jealousy? I mean, I've had issues where my family, sometimes they argue, they have problems, and I'm aware of what's going on, and I know in some other communities, hearing and deaf, that they have black eyes, where they're jealous within the community, and I want to know. Well, I've been told that you need to give to poor people, but I'm still struggling with this, so I want to know how I can stop this feeling. Do I have to pay for to give a black lamb to the poor people? How can I? Do you know what I mean? Because I'm worried that, you know, this is a real issue, so I'm wondering how to solve this. Are you able to explain that to me?
What's your name? Radwan. Radwan, very quickly, jealousy is from the major sins in Islam. And one of the problems with jealousy is that it means that a person is not satisfied or pleased with what Allah chose to give someone else. So if Allah gave, when he says jealousy, is he talking about hasid, which means like envy, or jealousy for the woman, my wife?
Well, it's all of that, really. I mean, I can explain briefly. Someone might be jealous over or feel jealous over a wife that another man has, or have jealousy about something else. But, you know, is it none where God gives it to you? It means that people... where I have nothing and feel jealous about what other people have, and then that can make you ill. And which has happened to me previously, where I have been ill for a week. So, and I know that it can happen to people that they can get jealous for different reasons.
Okay.
It's something I struggle with, and it varies from time
I think
to
a
time.
better way, a better term to use is the Islamic word of envy, hasad, to be envious of something that Allah gave someone else. It's okay to be envious. It's okay to be envious, meaning if Allah gives something to someone and the person says, I wish Allah had given me that thing, without me wishing that He would take it away from that individual. So if Allah gave someone knowledge of the Quran, I say, I wish Allah gave me knowledge of the Quran so I can do like He's doing or better. I wish Allah gave me money as He gave that person so that I can give money and spend like him or better. But for it to be permissible, I should never hope and wish that the thing is taken away from that individual. If I become upset and angry and I desire that this thing is taken away from that individual, then I have effectively had a problem with what Allah decided, what Allah did out of His wisdom that we spoke about. So when I sit and I look at what someone has, I say, Allah didn't give me that thing. It wasn't in my best interest for me to have that thing. The fact that I don't have that thing, maybe if I had it, it would destroy me. If I'd had that money, it would destroy me. If I had that good-looking wife, it would destroy me because I would become arrogant. I would forget. So I have to be satisfied with what Allah has blessed me with, because He's blessed me with a lot of things that some people may look at me and be jealous of what I have, envious of what I have. So there's the last surah of the Quran. قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ, the two surahs of the Quran. قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ. They should read those last two chapters of the Quran, seeking refuge in Allah from the envious one, when he envies, and protecting him from being a person who is envious as well.
But how can I protect myself? Are you able to explain? What do I need to do to be able to protect myself from that emotion? I mean, I am married and I have a family, but how can I stop from... I still say those words, but I still fail. When he still says mashallah when he's deaf. But I want you to explain if there's anything that I can do to stop this from happening.
After I leave from here right now, maybe Radwan can come with me. As I walk out, I can write something down for him.
Okay,
all right?
I'd be happy with that.
Don't forget Radwan.
Thank you. Thank you.
Barakallah fikum ya akhi Radwan.
Shalom.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Abdul Hakim from One Community Organization. I would like to thank everyone for coming and taking part in the lectures and in the and listening to the conference. Hopefully, inshallah, God willing, it will benefit you in this life and in the hereafter. We'd like also for you to check out the website www.onecommunityorg.com for further information about lectures and other conferences that we'll be taking part in later on in this year, inshallah. Again, Jazakallah khairan. Assalamu alaikum.